Hey everyone, let's wrap up January. January felt like it never ended. And looking back at the videos I uploaded at the beginning of the month, it kind of feels true. My self-image, it feels like I uploaded that ages ago. The same goes for my channel anniversary. It's been 9 years and I loved doing this, and I loved reading your comments, seeing who's still there, and also you're sharing how long you've been watching. Thank you very much for that. I also uploaded my reading stats for 2019 and my reading goals for 2020. Feels like a long time ago, 2019. But I really enjoyed my reading 2019, and I'm looking forward to all the things I have planned for 2020. So hope you stick around for that. We also talked about my TBR journey. I think I'm finally at a point where I can deal with my TBR better again. And I talked to you about that. And after praising using wish lists to keep my TBR low, idiot me bought books. I know, right? This one I'm currently already reading, and this one is hopefully putting me into better mindset to finally get tabletops under control. Seriously. The last video I uploaded was my letter to January, and I thank you very much for always watching and enjoying those. Now let's go on to the books I read. I had a good reading month in January, even though it doesn't really feel like it because I didn't talk about so many books, as a lot of them were sequels. But I uploaded 2 separate reviews, which I want to do more of this year. So let's start with those 2 books. They're also the only physical books I read. The first one being Generation X. I really wanted to read this book for a long time, and I enjoyed it a lot more than I had expected. I thought this book would be dated, but it felt quite current and still on point. It's about 3 20s who decided to not really go with mainstream culture and work against the yuppie culture, how they interpret the world, what they dream, what they think of the culture that is going on in the mid-80s when the book is set, but it's still current and feels true today. So I highly recommend this book if you haven't read it yet. Unless you don't like books without a plot. This really doesn't have one, so it's more character-driven. The next physical book I read was A Moveable Feast by Ernest Hemingway. I read the 2009 or 2010 edition, which is restored and includes a lot more material than the original of 1964. And I really had my troubles in the beginning, but enjoyed it afterwards. I really liked what it did. It gave you an insight of the atmosphere of Paris in the 1920s and all the writers and artists who hung out there and worked, how Hemingway viewed his writing as work and how he worked on it. You can also see parts where he decided on different ways to write things because the manuscript for the book wasn't finished before he died. There's a lot of room for interpretation. And in this edition, a lot of started and not finished ideas are included, which is, from a writing point of view, really interesting to see how he played around with ideas and used same structures in different sentences or same sentence structures in different paragraphs. I really enjoyed that part. I did have a little problem with his writing, but I don't know if it's just in this book because it's been a while since I read anything by Hemingway. I need to read more to see if it's his writing or if it was just his writing in this book. Now on to the sequels. On audiobook, I listened to the 3rd book of the Witcher series, Blood of Elves. I didn't like it as much as the first 2 books. I think that's mainly because the short story style has shifted to an epic fantasy saga. And if you know me, I'm not the biggest fan of epic fantasy sagas where you don't really get an ending at the end of a book. So I'm going to continue with the series, and I will do a series review as soon as I'm finished, hopefully this year. I also finally picked up again another Harry Dresden book, Deadbeat. This is the 7th book in the Dresden Files, and I haven't listened to any of the books in a while. And I enjoyed this book a lot, but I had the same issues I have with all the books. The stories are fun, but they follow a strict line of narration. And this kind of narration is getting boring. It's the 7th book, and we always have Harry being stupid, Harry being right, and Harry almost dying because of his stupidity. In this novel, I briefly thought there was some character development, but it wasn't. He's still chauvinistic, hiding it as chivalry, and yeah, I don't know. I like one book at a time, but I need a lot of time in between the books. So I don't know when I will get to the next book in the series. Oh, not talking about content because it's the 7th book in the series, right? The last 2 books I read were ebooks, and it's the 5th and the 6th book in the Sin du Jour series. I highly enjoy the series. Book 5, Greedy Pigs, was hilarious. I really loved the writing, the story. I just flew through it. The 6th book is the penultimate of the series, and it got a lot darker and more depressive, and that's the part I don't like. Too much reality, too much bad things happening, too much evil that you can't escape. So I'm a little bit scared of the last book, but I also will do a review of the series once I'm done. And that were all the books I read. I had a good reading month, but I noticed at the end of the month that I was only reading male authors. So I need to try and up that in February. I do have a few female authors on my TBR, so that shouldn't be too difficult. And I still need to get German books because I want to participate in reading more German books. Yeah, let's see how February goes. It's shorter, so maybe I'll read more books by women? We'll see. Let's talk in comments how your January was. Did you enjoy your reading? Do you like the start of the year, your reading year? Did you make goals? Let's talk in comments. Thank you all for watching. Bye-bye.